I visited my uncle recently, and he's a forensic anthropologist who's been studying the Icelandic sagas for ever, I think. And he told me that when you look at the remains of these ancient Icelandic people, it becomes pretty clear that pretty much everybody there had tuberculosis, pretty much all the time. The weird thing is that the sagas never mention disease at all, unless it's as an indicator of impending death. You know, like, Bjorn fell ill in winter, and in spring he died. Like that. Nobody ever gets sick and then well again, or misses a battle because they're coughing up phlegm. Everyone was deathly ill, but no mention. So either they omitted that from their written accounts, and really who could blame them? I mean, if you're Icelandic, you don't want the Danes or anybody to stumble across a copy of your sagas, learn of your ill health, and pack up for battle. Or, maybe, and this is the theory I like, maybe they were just so used to it they didn't even think to mention that wheezing and suffering were pretty much their primary pastimes. Anyway, we sat down to dinner, and the conversation turned to hygiene. One of the first things you learn when you gather together enough people to call yourself a tribe and you're out there trying to survive is that if you contaminate your water supply, you get sick. Immediately. Everybody knows that. You get malaria and typhoid and all kinds of diarrheal diseases. So you'd think people would stop doing it. But they don't. There are lots of places where people still pee right into the river they drink from. Of course, my uncle said. It is economically efficient to do that. The energy cost of filtering your drinking water is so great that it's actually better to go ahead and contaminate it. It takes enormous energy to filter out all the fecal matter from your water, but if you don't bother, well, then a few babies die. A few sickly people die. And everyone who's left is tough enough to go on without ever having to clean up their act. But he didn't say it like that. You know, he said it with a maniacal grin on his face. He said it with his eyes shining. He said it spitting and grinning. He was downright jolly. He said, it's the same thing with smallpox and the flu. I mean, if it weren't for those, white people would never have made it out here. What you really want, is to be as filthy as you could possibly be. As a people. You want to be able to carry as much disease and bacteria as you possibly can, because then, when you meet an opposing tribe, you can fight off whatever kind of disease they have. And a lot of times you don't have to fight them at all. You know, you just shake their hand and walk away chuckling. And he sat back satisfied. And two things occurred to me immediately. First of all, everyone should be so excited about his work as my uncle. There's no reason whatsoever that everybody should not be able to find something to do that tickles him so thoroughly as my uncle was tickled talking about fecal matter over dinner that night. And the other thing is that in his blunt analysis of the economic realities of life, microbial and otherwise, was a truth, and much more importantly, a joke. Muddling along in the face of obstacles we can't see clearly is the comic structure. Comedy always follows a character who doesn't have all of the information, and the audience always knows what the character can't, that he's blind to the big picture. Great comedians haven't taught me half as much about comedy, about why we need it, or about when and how it works, as those scientists and historians and others who, like my uncle, spend their days sorting through the vast history of human folly, or poking at the mysteries of the universe. We will never have all the information we need. We can't know enough to guarantee our safety or our superiority. And there's the joke. Because you can know that at your core. You can make a life's work of knowing it. But you will always be personally tied to every puny problem, to every heartbreak, and every anxiety that comes with being a single, struggling peon, or peer, in a vast and inscrutable world. Even my grinning, gleaming anthropologist uncle hopes his own water isn't contaminated. And, since we can't have all the answers, all we can do is scrounge for as many morsels of truth as we can get a hold of. It's a good joke, actually.